By the end of this video, you will know exactly what got me to Microsoft, so you can follow my footsteps. Let's begin. Hi, I'm Dr. Bart, and today it's gonna be story time because, like, one of the most frequently asked questions that I hear on the internets is how I got to Microsoft. What was the key component that made me be selected for the job interview process, and later how I won that process? Well, let's start by saying that Microsoft and all the FANG manga companies like Facebook, Meta, like Amazon, Apple, those are just companies at the end of the day. So you don't need to have this feeling that you are going on an impossible job interview. No, you're going to a regular company that's just well known and it's slightly bigger. That doesn't downplay the Microsoft bit, of course. I would say that Microsoft is like my best employer thus far, but let's not get ahead of ourselves and prevent me from sucking up too much. So, let's get you to why you're here. How did I get to Microsoft? First of all, I never ever applied there. I did once, like a few years ago, but I was such a rookie person that no one probably batted an eye on my application. What instead happened is I got approached by Microsoft recruiter via LinkedIn. So that's the key thing here, my dear viewers, having an excellent LinkedIn profile. So before I get there, let me also tell you that one of the prerequisites with those types of positions is unfortunately the experience. I had about 4 or 5 years of product management experience by the time I was approached by Microsoft, which is this like sweet spot. And also I could show in my profile that I had experience in startups, big corporations, and hybrid, let's just say. That's what was my OLX position. So, what was it about that I believe got the recruiter to pay attention to my profile? Let's go to screen sharing. So, one of the most important things there is to make sure that you set yourself as open to new opportunities on LinkedIn. So now I'm not open to anything, but if I were, I would set myself to recruiters only so that people from your team and company don't really know that you are open to change. Of course, this might be like, if something good comes along, I'll just pick it up, but before you actually get a new offer, it's best to just be the most officially loyal employee there is. Anyhow, I also took a lot of care to craft my history of employment, where I went for the storytelling approach that actively tells you on what I did in certain companies and what were my achievements. Of course, I did remember to put very important product management words like backlog, roadmap, strategy, etc., just to make sure that the search terms are being accommodated for when someone is looking for a good product manager. I also took a lot of work to collect recommendations from different people across my career. Those are all like people I actually worked with. Those are honest to God recommendations, and you should also collect them. Even to this day, I am being pitched different positions based off the quotes from this list. So be sure to ask your past colleagues to also recommend you. Those are really, really impactful. And that's basically it. I had the right location, right experience, good LinkedIn profile, and when the call came, I picked up and I said I'm interested, which opened the recruitment process with Microsoft. The process took a total of 4 months between the first pitch and an offer, or 6 months between the pitch and actual start date. So it takes a lot. It takes often a lot for a recruitment process for a product manager, and in those big companies, it's especially tough. I have the honor of working day to day with the people who interviewed me, and I know their calendars. So it's not that if you wait a long time to speak with someone, it's because you're being ignored or you're sidelined. No, those people are really busy, so it takes a while. It culminated with a total of 6 calls, 6 stages. Well, the first one was obviously the introduction call with the recruiter, which was mostly like how awesome it is to work for Microsoft and what we do when we hire you to make it a very sweet deal. It was. And it led to another call with the head of Teams, I believe. I don't remember the person's name, but let me just say that was a failed threat of recruitment. I did not get this position. It was not really because I did something wrong, fortunately, but it was because there was a very good candidate, as I was told, and they didn't want to lose him or her, and he or she was offered the position, and that was really okay because I was immediately pitched another one at Skype. I was told I did so well on my first interview with Teams that they just pitched me to another open product management position. That opened another 4 interviews with the head of product, the head of technology, the tech team leader, one of 2, and finally with the, surprisingly really, head of the Prague office. So I went through those. I'll get back to how I think I won the interview in a moment, but let's just finish the actual process. When the decision was made to hire me, I had to wait about a week or 2 for the offer, and then the complicated process of getting me on board in the office began because I was back in Poland then. The COVID struck hard when I was supposed to start, and we were trying to set it up so I don't have to relocate in the worst possible pandemic. And it was back when we really didn't know if the borders would be open when I'll try to relocate. So I started in Poland and then in July moved into Prague when the pandemic wasn't that bad. So that's that. Let's now talk on what I think were the key components of why I managed to go through those individual recruitment stages. First of all, I was never impatient and I always tried to be humble. It was always the realization that I'm just a guy speaking to another guy, that the more open, the more true I am, the better the end result will be, whatever that would mean. Maybe I would be too open, too energetic for an otherwise stale team, and pretending to be someone I'm not would just end up with bad hire because of the lack of good connection, good chemistry, and I didn't try to be anyone I'm not. During those interviews, I did remain relaxed, focused, and remembered everything I learned over the years, both in terms of product management and how to win job interviews. Especially for this Microsoft recruitment process to Skype, one of the key components was also that I had a lot of success and failure stories that I have accumulated over the years, have rehearsed them over and over again, knew my motivations, the outcome, what I learned, what was good, what was wrong, and finding the different aspects that help me convey on how I work, how I operate, and what's important for me as a product manager. They demonstrate being data-driven, being effective and results-oriented, while not ever forgetting that it's all about solving a problem, to remembering the foundation of a good product manager. And I have a course on Udemy and Skillshare, which I was then preparing. It wasn't even released. And spending months on it helped me to get everything straight in my head, get all my product management knowledge in perfect order, and it was very easy then to communicate and convey it. So I'm really being genuine when in the descriptions of my courses I write that everything that led me to Microsoft is in this course. It's a fun, real story. But those were just high-level things that I believe got me successful. You're probably also wondering, what questions were I asked? What did I have to deal with to, get the position? I don't want really to disclose the literal phrasing of the questions because my colleagues might want to use them in the future. So let me just give you the general idea of the question and where the traps were set or weren't, and what was, I believe, the good answer I have given. The first one, the one that impressed the manager at Teams, was something in a way that an over-enthusiastic boss comes to you and tells you that he has an idea and he wants it realized. But the trap here, I believe, is that if you have a boss, an authority who tells you to do something, you might want to just hop on doing it. Instead, as a great product manager, I keep insisting on understanding why does he believe that the problem is there to solve, that there's business, what inspired him, is there any research to confirm that, and this sort of stuff. I didn't even give the man a proposed solution. All we did was me asking questions about his pitch and theory crafting whom and how to question about the viability of pursuing such a product. And I think it took us 20 minutes and no solutions were given. There was no idea on how to solve the problem presented. And that was, I believe, the key. Because this is how you should really operate as a product manager. You don't just hop on board because someone tells you, even if that's your manager. You always have the responsibility of doing your due diligence, understanding where the problem comes from, doing the right research, having the right numbers, and only then sitting at the table with the team and finding the proposed solution MVP to the problem. My Skype thread, first conversation, there wasn't really any specific question or challenge to answer. I was being asked, how did I manage to solve a problem that was quite smart and quick, and where I had to overcome big difficulties to get the results. So with my background in startups and then trying to translate those startup experiences in a corporate world, I had just the right stories, and one of them was to fake an API, we'll get to it, to get something that would normally take 12, 16 months delivered in 2. The solution there wasn't by the book, but it worked correctly and it gave company lots of income just because we could deliver a solution relatively quickly. So on the second call, call at Skype, I was asked, and I think say it word to word, to propose a specific API architecture for an aspect of Skype. And being an API product manager for several years, I had no problems there, which I believe I surprised the person I talked to. But I don't know. I don't know if I was less experienced in APIs, would that be as successful or not? But the fact is that I managed to basically nail it. In my video that product managers don't need technical background, I actually specifically say that knowledge about APIs is one of the key elements of what product managers should know, and I stand by it because it, well, got me my job. And for the final question that was like challenge and wasn't anything like what's your experience, how do you work with people, like those standard behavioral questions. The product question that I got was, I was given a brand that was known for providing good technology at a reasonable price, and the challenge here was, how would you grow this brand? How would you diversify? And here I didn't go the route of asking questions why to diversify. It wasn't really the context where you are questioning the problem. You are brainstorming an element of what can be done, and maybe the answer I've given was good because there was very little time at the end of the call, but I did go a little bit creative and bananas by saying that I would basically start a car business with this brand, and that brand had nothing to do with automobiles or anything. But I figured that if Toyota is known for quality at a very reasonable price, then that could be the components of a great car model. And having a known brand really enforces that and perhaps builds anticipation and what will they do next? Sort of like Apple, who went from creating computers and then music players to phones. And of course, the first iPhone was epic, but that's what they basically did, is that they put everything that Apple was known for at the time with their iPods to their iPhones. And that was really successful. There was also a fourth call, but it had nothing to relay, and to my surprise, it was just the head of the office that wanted to meet me personally and see what's the fuss about with the new guy. And basically that's where I found out that there will be an offer for me, and everything went fine. And I was really stressed before this final call, because I had this bad feeling that this won't go too good, while the previous 3 ones were fine. But at the end of the day, it was just two people saying hello to each other, and there was no recruitment challenge whatsoever. And there you have it. That's the story of how I became a senior product manager at Microsoft. As mentioned, if you want to follow my lead, if you want to see what built the knowledge and the skill set that got me there, please try my Udemy or Skillshare courses. The links are on the screen. And subscribe, follow, read my blog. All the links are in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.